because it can. So this is not just for new members, it's for all of us at all levels. And also he used to like saying, comrades, I'm teaching you politics today so that you can use it one day against me if I deviate from ANC policies. So politics in ANC should be something we live by. It's not an event that happens once a year. It must be something that is in us. So that if I go wrong, Comrade Naledi can say to me, Comrade Nkosazana, doesn't even have to be Comrade Naledi. Any comrade from the branch can say, Comrade Nkosazana, we are born njengati awusahambi kahle. Because that comrade in the branch is a cadre. He understands the values and she understands the commitments, the policies of the ANC. And if I'm no longer going right, he can say, mm-mm. You know, Comrade Batabile talked about the time I was going to the AU. One youth league comrade came to me and said, no, comrade, you must refuse. Why are you going? Why are they sending you to exile? So I said, comrade, it's the ANC that's saying I must go. How do I refuse? How do I tell you tomorrow as the youth that you must obey the ANC if I don't obey the ANC? So, comrades, it's very important to build the cadres in the movement, because it's the cadres that will be able to defend this organization. It's the cadres that will be able to put us in line as leaders if we go wrong. It's the cadres that will ensure that the opposition does not dictate to us, as Comrade Naledi was saying. How dare anyone say, is it not an insult to us as ANC that if we vote in secret, we will vote differently than if we vote in public? I would find that an insult. Because as a public representative, you are there to represent the electorate. And you are there as an ANC MP to represent the ANC. Why do you want to hide from the ANC what you are doing in Parliament? There must be something wrong there. And I'm glad that the ANC has not agreed to that. Because even if you want to vote whichever way, you must do it with integrity and honesty and be able to defend your proposition. Why do you want to do things and hide and not be known? It's strange. So I just want to also say, cadres at all times must have the revolutionary consciousness, must have the revolutionary discipline as well. They must be committed to serve and love our people. They must be dedicated. As cadres, we must be dedicated. But we must serve with humility, not with arrogance. We must also be ready to self-improve. We must understand our tasks, understand the motive forces, understand the balance of forces, and therefore be able to take the correct decision. We must also have gender consciousness. You can't be a cadre and be a male chauvinist. Cadres, OR once said in his speech that no country can boast of being free until the women are emancipated. So, and he said it's not the duty of women alone to mobilize women and emancipate them. It's all of us as cadres. We have that responsibility. And so, as we recruit new members, we must make sure that they are ideologically rooted and schooled in ANC, and they understand our progressive policies, and are able to undertake tasks that are assigned to them. And so, 5 years into the decade of the cadre, it's high time that we review and see how well we've done in ensuring that the decade of the cadre indeed is the decade of the cadre. And we must, as I said, cadres must always be able to, as we are going to do in our policy conference, in our policy discussions, to understand the balance of forces and to understand the motive forces that we have to work with. But again, we must be honest when we analyze what is going on. We can't not admit that the organization is weak at this point in time. And of course, once we are weak and once we are divided, we cannot mobilize and unite society. And the laws of nature, let alone politics, just the laws of nature, do not allow a vacuum. Where the ANC leaves a vacuum, others come in, as we can see. It is also our weakness, to some extent, that we see people now occupying the streets. But we must make sure that we come together and unite so that we can ensure that democracy is upheld. We're not going to have presidents that are elected through the streets when we have a constitution that says how we should elect, how democracy should be. We used to occupy the streets because we had an illegitimate government, and a government that we had no say in, we had no vote, so the only thing we could do was to go to the streets, and our glorious army did its work. Now we have democracy. We must tell them that they must be democratic. They must exercise democracy. The DA cannot want to run this country through the streets or through the courts. They cannot, and they should not. But if we are divided and weak, they will. As we can see, they've started. So it's very important for us not to say, hi, lo comrade, agekho nathi kuphi, if he is a comrade or she is a comrade. A comrade must be a comrade. We must work together. No factions, we must do away with. We must work together. Unity is strength. Unity is strength. Divided, we fall. United, we stand. So all of us, I'm happy. I see a very strong cadres forum here, and I'm sure the discussions are going to be very interesting. But let me also say, to unite our people, as we have said, we must first be united. And we must go to our people with a program so that we can be united in actioning our program. And of course, we must work with the alliance, and we must admit that the alliance is weak and we should strengthen it, all of us. COSATU must be strong, SACP must be strong, the ANC must be strong, and together we must be strong. If we are not, the enemy will come in. The NEC, as the working committee, as Naledi has said, that we cannot be participating in marches, participating in programs that are not ANC programs, as ANC members and cadres. And comrades, the ANC has done a lot. We all know. Even here in the Free State, we know where we were before '94. We can see a vast difference. And we must be able to communicate where we have done well. But where we have not done well, I must say, is in the economy. And I think we have done well by recognizing that. It's not that we haven't recognized it as the ANC, we have. And that's why we are saying we want radical economic transformation. Because we realize that in the last 23 years, we have not really been able to transform this economy. Comrades, if we look at the economy, I'm not a minister, so Naledi said each minister must talk about their own. So I'll talk as an ANC cadre. And I support, of course, what government is doing, the Minister of Finance, everybody. But I think it's important for us to look at a few things. Why is it that the finance ministry is so crucial? Why is the finance sector so crucial? The finance sector is the commanding heights of the economy. If you don't control the finance sector, you cannot control the economy. So where are we in the commanding heights of the economy? Who owns the financial sector? Why is it that me and you cannot easily go to a bank and get some help if I want to start a business? So we must address that. I think this economy can absorb a few more banks, but those banks must have the right orientation in terms of assisting the mainstream economy to absorb the black people in general and Africans in particular. So, and I'm saying this because the ANC, when was it when we decided that the post-bank, 2007, we already taken that decision. It's not I'm saying something new. It's ANC policy, but where is the implementation? So we need to speed up. The Women's League, in their last conference, if I remember correctly, they took a decision that there should be a women's bank. We need to look at that and say, how do we do that? Because the people who suffer most, one, are black people if they want financial assistance. But within those black people, the women and the youth are the worst. It's very difficult to get financial help. But it's not only in South Africa, it's even in the continent generally, it's the same. Women and youth find it very difficult to get financial assistance, and that must change. The second thing is, I'll talk about what we were discussing in the continent about mineral resources and natural resources. We're saying the continent as a whole has almost every mineral that every economy in the world needs. Most of the developed economies have developed on our raw materials, whether they be in the East, whether they be in the West. Every country, whether it's Japan, whether it's Korea, whether it's France, whether it's UK, whether it's the US, has always needed what we have. But how come we are not developing? We have, if you look at computers, cell phones, and so on, the rare minerals that you need for that are found here on the continent. But none of us manufacture cell phones or computers. So we must go to manufacturing. We must go to value addition. And we must make sure that we have black industrialists, black-owned companies. Because, yes, we've got BEE, which has worked to a point, but on the whole, the BEE has absorbed black people into existing companies, has not created new companies. So we need to look at how to create new companies so that we can create more jobs, get more revenue for the country, and have shared prosperity. So value addition is very important. And how we use our minerals is important. If we have got minerals here, how come the communities around here, on the whole, tend to be the poorest? And yet, they are sitting on these minerals on their land. Everything just gets taken out and out. We must begin to engage these companies more. We have been engaging them, but I think we need to engage them more. But also, we are saying we have lots of unemployment, which is true. But if we take something raw, whether it's a tomato or an orange, and take it out as an orange to Spain or to wherever, and then Spain makes juice out of it, makes jam out of it, makes paste out of it, they get more money. And they create jobs in Spain with our orange. So we must begin to add value and create jobs here so that we also export manufactured goods more and more. And that will give us more revenue and it will create more jobs. But this is not going to happen without resistance, because those who are benefiting are going to resist. Because if you stop sending things raw, it means they can't create those jobs there to process. So they'll resist. They will try and divide us. They will try and do everything. But we have a historic responsibility to transform this economy. It's not a choice. Let me tell you what OR said, remind you. I quote, "It is inconceivable for liberation to have meaning without a return of the wealth of the country to the people as a whole. To allow the existing economic forces to retain their interest intact is to feed the roots of racial supremacy and exploitation, and does not represent even the shadow of liberation. So we have a duty. This is what OR said. So until the wealth of this country is returned, it means we do not have even the shadow of liberation. So the struggle continues. And we mustn't be scared when the opposition says, we can't run. At the first siren of the enemy, we see the pants. Cannot be. They must know we are here. The struggle for democracy, we have won, but we cannot sustain democracy if we don't have economic power. Because power is not just the vote. Power is not just parliament, the executive, the judiciary. Probably 80% of the power is the economy, and 20% is what we have. So we must understand that the struggle continues. And once we understand that the struggle continues, we will be able to navigate these difficult times. Because we will know that when the struggle continues, it needs strong cadres, it needs united cadres, it needs action. As Comrade Msebenzi was saying, people are hungry for action. So we must not be apologetic about the economy. That's what our forebearers said. That's what OR said, and many others. That liberation will truly come when we are also controlling the economy, the wealth of this country. We can't be the majority, the ruling party, but the wealth resides somewhere else. So, comrades, we need, as Comrade Naledi said, to close rank, to have our cadres forums, discuss politics, go out, not only to our members, but to our supporters, to the public at large, and engage. The ANC is an engaging organization. It's not afraid of debates. It debates within itself and outside. Let's engage. Let our people understand what we are trying to do. And let them realize that they have to be part of this struggle for economic emancipation. And once they understand that, we'll have no problems with our people. Yes, we may have problems with others, but our people, we will not. So, I'm also happy with the Women's League, Molo Makelwane, because it is connecting us with our communities. As an ANC cadre, you should be able to know exactly what's going on in your community. Who needs help? Who needs assistance? And they should look up to you for leadership in your community. And once we are leaders in our community, we will be leaders in society, because society is our communities. So it is incumbent upon us as government, as the ANC, to implement If you look at our policies, most things are there. It's the implementation. We must build capacity to implement. We must make sure that our young people also understand what needs to be done. Because I was talking to some young people and they were telling me what they learn at school. I was shocked. All of us, can we go back and just see what our kids are being taught in these Model C schools? They are actually taught against the ANC. Not that it's propaganda, they are taught at school. So it's not surprising that the kids will think ANC is corrupt, ANC is useless, ANC, because that's what they are fed at school. And I think that must also be transformed. And that's why they can say there was an advantage in being colonized, because that's what they teach our kids. There is no advantage whatsoever in colonization, but our kids think there is because they are taught that. And before I sit, even at university, some university students were telling me that they are actually not allowed in their thesis, Comrade Naledi, to say South Africa is a democracy. Yes. They are not allowed to say South Africa is a democracy. They advert and others. They say, no, South Africa is not a democracy because it's like a one-party state. Until the opposition takes over, then we can say South Africa is a democracy. And kids have to write it, because if they don't, they will fail. If you want to pass your masters, that's what you have to say. Yes. They are taught that there is no freedom. They can't use the word freedom to describe South Africa. So we must really look into, I think what we have been looking at is access, looking at that kids are passing, but we are not looking at when they pass, what is the knowledge that has been imparted to them? So I think that's another area that we have to look at. But in conclusion, comrades, I want, again, because it's the year of OR, to quote him again. And he said, racial discrimination, South Africa's economic power, its oppression and exploitation of all the black peoples are part and parcel of the same thing. He says racial discrimination and South Africa's economic power, its oppression and exploitation of all black peoples are part and parcel of the same thing. So it means we've done and we've dealt with one part. The other part, which is the economic power, we have not dealt with. So this must be understood, that is part of our mission. It's part of our strategic mission as the ANC to do that. I hear people saying in the radio, analysts, oh, why now? Why? Anytime it's our mission. Now, tomorrow, the other day, it will remain our mission. Until it's done, it will remain our mission. So, comrades, without taking too much time, because our leader here in the Free State has to talk. I just want to say, comrades, Comrade Naledi, through the NWC report, has given us the marching orders. We go, we mobilize, we organize, we unite, and we lead. Not only our structures, but society. And that's what we must be doing. And we must not allow them to distract us from our strategic mission. And we'll be chasing them there, chasing them there, chasing them there, and not focusing on our strategic mission. We must not allow them to do that. Comrades, those are the few things I wanted to share with you. And say, Amandla, viva ANC, viva, Malibongwe, watinta bafazi, watinta bafazi, forward to radical economic transformation, forward. Forward to radical economic transformation, forward. Forward to unity, forward. Forward to leadership of society, forward. Malibongwe. Long live the ANC, long live. Long live Oliver Tambo, long live. Long live Chris Ani, long live. Long live Solomon Mahlangu, long live. Long live Dorothy Nyembe, long live. Long live the people's movement, long live. Long live our leadership, long live. Long live our president, long live. Thank you.
Amanda. Amanda. I-ANC yasetshenzile. Ala iyasetshe. I-ANC yasebeletswa. Aha iyase.
ANC yasebeletswa. Alala.
Amandla. Are tshwareng anyane fela re kgone ho kwala jwale tje so that re etse birthday ya president hantle. Okay, marshals, we are fine. Marshals. Okay, comrades, thank you very much. Amandla. Viva ANC, viva. Long live ANC, long live. Long live President Jacob Zuma, long live. Long live Jacob Zuma, long live. Long live Jacob Zuma, long live. Uzuma wetus. Uzuma wetus. Uzuma wetus. Uzuma wetus. No more siaboshwa. No more siaboshwa. No more siaboshwa. No more siaboshwa. ANC yetu. ANC yetu. ANC yetu. ANC yetu. No more siaboshwa. No more concern. No more siaboshwa. No more siaboshwa.
We're bringing you live visuals from Sasolburg there, where the ANC cadres are meeting. Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma just addressed the crowd, speaking about the need for radical transformation, not only in the economy. She also spoke about the business sector, the education sector, and said they all need an overhaul. Dr. Dlamini-Zuma saying that after 23 years, the reason that they're bringing this phrase of radical economic transformation to the fore is that for the last 23 years they haven't succeeded in completely changing the economy, and now is the time. She also spoke about opposition parties and saying the ANC shouldn't get distracted with what opposition parties do as they'll waste their time chasing them from pillar to post.
Lizumele mbohle dirakitsena Jesu ke morena ke molaudi o ya lenehela sentsabeng kotsi ra o hamaso
We've seen different members of the ANC attending this ANC cadres forum that's taking place in Sasolburg in the Free State. We just saw Mineral Resources Minister Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma singing along there. Earlier on we saw Minister Naledi Pandor obviously attending in their capacity as ANC members rather than ministers, also trying to discuss what the ANC needs to do going forward. Dr. Dlamini-Zuma addressing the crowd, talking about the need for unity. We'll cross back there now.
Pasekeng yena di ke di hopotse batho re se rakisena se re kenetse. While you a black person, this is the time to stand up and be conscious. Ore jwale ke nako ya ho defend the revolution. You are on your own, and nobody can come in to rescue you. Bona le ha o kwatile khaitsedi ngwaneso, o mo kwatetse Jacob Zuma. Jacob Zuma se ANC. Jacob Zuma ke e mong wa baetapele ba ANC. That's why re somlandela lapho aya khona somlandela. Now I'm very fortunate. It's waranyane table. I'm very fortunate because to serve as a leader of the ANC is a privilege. And I have served under the leadership of Nelson Mandela. I've served under the leadership of Thabo Mbeki. I've served under the leadership of Jacob Zuma. I can tell you about these three leaders. When the ANC was banned, we were able to serve under the leadership of Oliver Tambo. And you can read, or I solemnly swear, or get like support ANC, get like defend by but without any material benefits. And in Nelson Mandela, there was a stage when Nelson Mandela said to Joe Slovo, Luna makomanisi, li pepila udumaro. And it was only Walter Sisulu who could say, let's break and talk to Nelson Mandela. And then we moved on after that. This is the time yanago ya Chris Hani. Umamela clip ya Chris Hani. How fetsa o negotiate out marumo fatshe. Chris Hani said, "Kutlile bohloko haholo. Hobane ke bone masolana mkhondo wesizwe. Abulawa ke mmuso ona ba hanyapetse. I saw them, I lived with them, ke ba bone ha bashwa ba bolawa ba ripitlwa. But the ANC, my leadership, kana go le yana ke member of National Executive Committee, my leadership has decided mine is to follow the instructions of the leadership." And he said, "Look about how powerful, how when you are right, you have to be obedient and be part of the collective decisions of the National Executive Committee." That is Chris Hani. And Rona, we are lucky because we have worked with Chris Hani when he was in exile and when he was in the country. I reported directly to Chris Hani in the underground. Now, when you talk about Chris Hani and the Communist Party, the leader of the alliance, the ANC, you must understand it. Because there was no leader who could be a communist before you are a member of the African National Congress. During those days, communists were identified, not elected. Because today you can be a communist without even understanding the history, the struggle of our people. The leadership of the ANC, you have heard them. Lutlile Manaledi, Lutlile Batabile, Lutlile Comrade Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma. Le ba utlwile. How na difference between Bona and Main? There's no difference between Bona le bontate ba tshwere. Ntwe ba bua wa utlwa re ba bua African National Congress. Utlwa hore they are grilled na charred and baked in the oven of our revolution. La ba utlwa basadi ka jeno bomme ba rona di khaitsedi tsa rona hore ba bakeilwe. They are like you and I, men. And these are the future leaders of South Africa. No doubt about it, comrades. And during Nelson Mandela, Winnie Mandela was taken out of cabinet. And you know Winnie Mandela, a special woman in our history, in our revolution. When mothers were afraid, Winnie Mandela was there. And Winnie Mandela was removed from cabinet. No, not anything. There was nothing. Paulo Jordan, an intellectual, organic intellectual of the African National Congress, was removed during Mandela time. Peter Mokaba, the vibrant young militant comrade of Sanko and ANC Youth League, who could take brick by brick and destroy apartheid, was taken out of cabinet. There was nothing. Mandela refused to America, Cuba, or you can't dictate who our friends must be. So when we elected Cyril Ramaphosa in 2012, there were people who said, you can't put Cyril Ramaphosa there because we will be captured. That time there was no word capture. But monopoly. Utlabokina monopoly. By ikakesi. So we are discussing. Leadership is about discussions. The province of the Free State must never make a mistake when you elect leadership. By the time the National Executive Committee opens discussions, we must be guided by those principles. Grilled and nurtured leadership in the revolutionary movement, the African National Congress. When we were students, few of us made sure that Raifumana freedom, Raifumana free education, Riadifumana dijo. It was few during those days. And today is still the same. The ANC has not changed. And the SG of the African National Congress always says, you must never be disloyal to the decisions taken by a collective. You must always be loyal to the decisions of the collective. The highest decision-making body within the ANC National Conference. In the absence of national conference is the National Executive Committee. In between the National Executive Committee, the National Working Committee of the ANC can take decisions. And ours is to toe the line. And we have always taught the line. We have always been guided by the Constitution of the ANC, and we regarded it as a guideline. Guideline, Constitution, we balu or rigid. Harry DSG Tandimudise, you must be full-time. We decided that despite the Constitution, Tandimudise will be Premier of Northwest. But constitutionally, ya 2012, our heads of departments, organizing, political, they will be full-time. They are not full-time. Constitutional president, premier, mayor, they must consult and have a fee after consultation. Then the president, the premier, whoever can decide. And who brought this culture of consultation? Jacob Zuma. Jacob Zuma. When people went to Jacob Zuma and wanted to be deputy presidents, Zwelin Vavi, Jacob Zuma said, no, but I can't decide who must be leader. Now, comrades, Zwane will summarize it. o lefile batho ba reach 16 neka raka ya ho 100 neka raka ya ho 100 wa ba bona bo Patrice ba mo bo Serele ba mo aba so be le tšhelete batho ba one number one o na le 94 billion. It is not wrong for a black person ya sebeleditseng tšhelete ya hantle without corruption. It is not wrong for a black person a be le tšhelete ha e sebeleditse hantle. Bona ha ona tšhelete ha ona dibanka ha ona FNB ha ona Standard Bank ha ona Absa ha ona Capitec ha ona Reserve Bank ha ona Nex o na le sekoloto o ka ba premier o ka ba minister o na le sekoloto o patala ntlo o patala koloi bana ba ja ka mo ha ona Nex motho wa tshwanang le nna le wena ka letlalo le ha ana Nex o property less Nex. You have no land. Lefatshe la hao ha ona lona. You have absolutely nothing. Maro khona o thetswa ke none e hlotsa e feta ha none iri moruo ona a swa lona batho ba batsho ntse ke bala bantu biko hona jwale tje ke batla yo khopotsa nakong tsane Steve Biko bukenyane ya haela e tseba yana I write what I like. Wa tseba o renga motho e motsho ene ke ntho e tsalang hona jwale o roka ya dikolong tsa bana tsa batho ba batsho ha bana di playgrounds bana le uniform hona le ba kenyang e tabohile mono ha ona metsi dikolong tse ding ha ba sheba bana ba magua le hona nakong ya rona metsi ya teng kaofela bona ba kenya uniform bana le mabala di papadi ba batle ba hlapile bana ba batsho ba ba sheba ba re he batho bana ba phela ha monate ke bona batho so consciously ba starta ba re they are superior, they are better than us because they are better bana le tsohle so ba re rona ba batsho ba letlalo le tse ha rena Nex ba starta ba hero worshiper bana because bana ba ba fa dijo nkgono le ntate moholo le mme wa ka le ntate wa ha ba ile di garden boy ba ba fa dijo ba tla le bona ba di filwe ke maghoa so ba re maghoa a betere a important. Una le story sena sa black doll and white doll se bohloko story se hohle mo ke tsamayang ke bapala story seno ke popo e tshweu le popo e motho e motsho ba beile bana ba batsho mona le maghoa le ma Indian ka ofela but which one is beautiful? These two dolls, which one is beautiful? But this one and this one is white. Which one do you like? This one. Why do you like it? Because it's white. Which one is ugly? This one, the black one. Which one is like you? Which one is like you? We better to fast in Suena. What's about ena enso? It's one alin. So, Mapotogis, are rutile ringa black doll and white doll. Restate ba raba runa di crutch. Or black is beautiful. White is beautiful. Black is intelligent. White is intelligent. White and black. So that the future of South Africa must never be about race, must never be about color. This said yes, we must never be distracted or a non-racial South Africa. But we must go back. Botumbarona, rona batho ba baso re khopotse mo re tswang teng, so that re tsebe hore this is the African National Congress. Zwanu buile mani, and ke ratile ha bua ka batho, because in those companies sa di badileng from 1 to 60, ba teng batho ba baso, ba teng ba etapele, ba teng bana ba bona, ba teng basadi ba bona, ba teng banna ba bona, ba teng di company tseno le di union di teng ka re di le company in these white companies, and that's why people will go out and support. You must read and understand. Or why harina media, we have no media. Arina Hlaudi Mtsweni, bana Hlaudi Mtsweni ha tla ka Jacob Zuma, me, Comrade Tate, Comrade Kaska, Comrade Sophie Mukwena, Comrade Hlaudi, we work very close with Comrade Thabo Mbeki. Very close. Zikalala, when he was CEO of SABC, brought Hlaudi back. Harina television in that. Well, we cooked us. But let's conscious. Nkebele sa bui ka radical economic transformation after 22 years. Because what like a television, what like a newspapers, what can you go back and mashale, Molu can a mahua fail. Sibi, Samutwemus, how can a molu huali cana? La Musiba Terral Court. You know him. Utseba handla setlare sa lekgowa ke mo setlare sa motho e motsho ke lekgowa. O e repeata mehlena taba eno. And Nelson Mandela ka 1994. It's just that time we were misled, we are not misled. Comrade Tate, Vax Maikis or Pat Matos and Dukwana said no. Let's take Terrell Court. And we are called at Lutul. It was Shell House that time. And Nelson Mandela said to us, what are you doing? Why are you bringing Terrell Court into this premiership? We went against branches of the ANC. And there was a man called Fezile Dabi. This was the only man who was number 3 in the list of members of the legislature. And Fezile Dabi said, if the 5 of you decide, when the branches have decided otherwise, I am withdrawing from that list. I can't go to legislature in the Free State when Terrell Kota is there, and I will later tell you the reasons why I can't do it. I rather die like a pauper. And this man, who was a well-known Fort Harrier, well-known student in South Africa, Fezile Dabi. And that's why the region is named after this man. After this man. So ke batla hore bo Naledi, bo sis Nkosazana, bo Bathabile, never say no when the branches of the ANC have spoken. Never say no. Never say no. So comrades, I think it was wonderful to listen to our leadership. And I'm sure as the province, we must learn from time to time that leadership, how we pay wabeua. You must stop thinking that you will be elected because you have money. Even if you have money, if branches want you and you serve the branches, they will elect you. If you have never worked and served for the ANC, the branches will never elect you. Money or no money, education or no education. Kana se Jacob Zuma fela asanke nga fihla ba le degree. Bu Walter Sisulu. Bu Moses Kotane. And I really know, really encourage us kala kena school. Nakong ya bona it was difficult to go to school. Now it's easy to go to school, so how na reason? Ya re ska la ba le degree, la ba le di masters, la ba di doctor. There's no reason. But those leaders by building the African National Congress, by delivering political freedom, by delivering in our lifetime, in our lifetime, political freedom. Now, in our lifetime, economic transformation, radical, must happen. From mayor to MEC to premier to minister to president, radical economic transformation. Outside CB power, we're not what here is African National Congress. This is the time for the economy to go back to the masses of our people. And we are not saying whites will never benefit. They've benefited, they'll continue benefiting. But it is time for you, the majority, so that there is peace and friendship and calm and everything in South Africa. It should not be about batho ba rekilweng ka ditšhelete ba sa tlhola o tseba ba phela jwang le rona. Le mamele ma comrades, because this is the time to defend the African National Congress. This time. There will never be any other time. The time is down. The time is now. Now is the time. Peter Mukabana Kasaiko. Life or death. Victory certain. Another life or death. Radical economic transformation. If it leads. And Arskabara Chachalamura. Kukasale Maimania Binampinena. Babo Iba Cheche. Bacheche Le Murao. We are Runariabama. Yes, as Geruka Maimani man. Ukam Fandena Ringena. Ufita no. Dintodu Luki. Remuluk said this and that. Ureabata Frel Hua Frel Hua. Freedom of association, of movement, of everything. Remuluk said this. What if Fumana play? I felt the brave man. So Jacob Zuma, comrade, it's a simple, I have served. It's a simple, humble man. He is approachable. You can go to Nkandla. Ulosheba Christmas anytime. We went there as the executive in 2009. We went there as the PEC. Get line fella queue. Ordinary people. Rich, white, Indian, poor, literate, illiterate, Jews and Gentiles. They are there. you foseditse African National Congress? Our time we remind the you foseditse. What's about Jacob Zuma who disbanded us in the Free State? Jacob Zuma disbanded us in the Free State. So and what have you. Jacob Zuma was sent by the National Executive Committee of the ANC to come and disband us. And that National Executive Committee, azange rebeli problem. We respected the decision of the highest decision-making body in the African National Congress. And no one of us, we are MECs, and we are told, pack your things and go to Cape Town. Myself, Pat Matosa, Terralikota went to Cape Town. Tate was a chief whip. He was just told, pack your things, we are giving you 15 minutes. Really, Mantombela, Kompela, pack, go. Harifita, if Mudisenyane Luwila was not there, they were not in the list. And because of so-called corruption, I stayed 9 months. I stayed at home for 9 months. And that time we had the Tabombeg. Unona le Tabombeg that time. And that Tabombeg, Bolindwe Sisul, Bomenale, Bugil Makas, that time defended us. Because, and then the commission was set up, Yamutswale Watera. And that commission found nothing against us. Of a friend, because everything, corruption, Shilowa, corruption, Matosa, corruption, corruption, Zuma, corruption, everywhere where he has gone. And I remember Terralikota. You remember 1992? No, he started 1992 years before the regional conference. He contested with Kompela, Maukem branch in Kronstadt. Kompela emerged as the branch chairperson. You remember that history? And then 1992, he contested the Northern Free State Regional Executive Committee. He wanted to be the chair. He was contested by Dukwa Pants. Dukwana became chair. Then I took over from that time. After Dugwana, 93, 92, 93, 94. 94, Terra pleaded with me and Pet to become the chair. And we said, but in the ANC, leaders are elected. No, man, my comrade, man, give premier, man, I give fella limpa space. No, it doesn't work that way, Terralikota. Leaders are elected, but me and Pet, we will withdraw. And when we withdraw, Kubunamel, you branches said no ways. And the man was angry. I sat like the aeroplane at that time against the suit. My branch are next. Are voting. Yaba Matosa ba chairman ageba deputy. Arkhata commissioner mutwe mutsuka 1994 legislature are no are fa di vet. Ramotsa wa re fa di vet are no Mandela we say this man on a Rematla Transkei is corrupt. Who was an African. We are your leaders. Ramotwell, about Public Service Commission. At like Mr. Rat, rotate Mr. Ras. Rarno, play for Murule, Robben Island town a degree. Why can't play for Murule become a provincial service commissioner? Rayago DG ya province. About our Kalilo no ways. No ways. We are in charge here. We are now in charge. And that's when the Free State became divided. And people thought we are just fighting Terralikota. When Terrell Kota was there and we said the center is the African National Congress, he took the Constitution of South Africa and say, show me, where does this Constitution say the ANC is the center? We said, who is in power? We said, it's the ANC. Show me in this Constitution of South Africa. And people thought we are mad. And where is Terra today? What is he doing today? A bitter, angry man. Very bitter. Finally, Premier ANC in El Sharp. ANC a deliver. Yaba Minister ANC Sharp, ANC a deliver. Yaba National Chair, ANC Sharp, ANC a deliver. Outwa, vote somebody else. Yaba ANC na ki nonsense corrupt. Anana le plasi ya wine ku Jacob's Dar. Ntsana leo ale bala o declare garage ya petrol. Bele mo tshwarela parlamente. Kan Jacob Zuma is suddenly corrupt. So ba etapele ba ANC nna ke kopa fela le tshepagale. Don't go for money. Be directed to the principles. It's like Fezile Dabi. You rather die like a pauper. But how's not chalet? How about for chalet? Take it, man. Take it. Take it. Ola pila gerbanna. Nga chalete no. When we go and vote in 2017, we must vote for the right leaders. We must not vote for our friends and our cause. We must vote for principal leadership of the ANC. And you're gonna see it. During this difficult moment, you're gonna see who's a leader and who's not a leader. And finally, I was impressed by Jackson Mthembu. I was impressed by Jackson Mthembu after the Extended National Working Committee of the ANC. Because I think we have been very critical of Jackson Mthembu. And I watched him 2 days ago on 403. And Jackson Mthembu was explaining why members of parliament of the ANC should never vote and agree with the opposition. He outlined the politics of the ANC. And I said, this is the Jackson we know. Because there is no perfect person. Hana sibi waithetsa miniti hayo huye. Anyone who says I've not done anything, go fair. Corridors of power. Waithetsa miniti hayo huye. So lona members of African National Congress. Nna ke bolella makomanisi all the time ke ja communism, ke ja socialism, ke tsamaya Cuba, ke tsamaya China. South African communists ha di tshwane le tsa China, ha di no tshwana le tsa Cuba. Everything is determined by material conditions. And that's why go China ba re ntja ka tsena ha ile white kapa ile jwang. It is the right cat. And the nuggets about Makomanis, but about the most advanced cadres. Give you a real. They are supposed to be the most advanced. Keep on but comrade Ace. This is the lie. This is the lie. Comrade Zuma is a communist. Now I'm a communist without a membership card. Ki understand that Ke understand na theory ya teng ke phetse ke pensele bo kresane ma. Ha o bolela o etsa lerata comrades. And that's why you have never heard us going out to the media as this province. But our discipline, we have said, must never be taken for granted. But we must still remain disciplined. And we are disciplined because our deployees in this province from National Executive Committee are principled. And they work with us. Where we are wrong, they criticize us. Where we disagree with them, we engage them. They are not superior. They are leaders leading with humility. And that's why all of us, wherever we are, we must lead the ANC with humility. We must never think that we have arrived. We must work hard. You must not be happy to run a branch. What is a branch? You must be happy when you are there with the masses of our people. Masses. It's a branch, but 100. Control. Masses. So we must move from one village, from one clinic, the Betenza Hospital, the Trongo, the Changani, Maplasi. We must go and move and say, we will defend Jacob Zuma, because when we defend Zuma, we are defending the African National Congress. And we must pray during this time, comrades, for our leadership. I was phoned by many bishops this week. But Ronald Kerek, Rapella Muso, I can respect authority. So that authority, Muso, Jacob Zuma, and the ANC, Bozwani Gaufe, Boba Tabile, Bomena Lady, Gaufela Bonagi Muso. Scala le bala o rappella musona lona ba crest ke bua le ba crest o ba population ya rona South Africa bongata ba bona ke ba crest, and ke a bolella they will never abandon the African National Congress. So we are happy. We are happy when we see some of our comrades here today. Even if they are our neighbors, Ritumets by Tapele Barro. Ritumets, Halilete Mona. There are no boundaries. We are happy. So I go to message, clear, loud. Ours is to go and work hard. Nanzagi tuta di toropo ka toropo. More regional chair is one thing, Cornelia. Kiazeba ona li ditrata 108. Kiazeba ona le manhua a 45. Hona le ma China I 3. Hona li dikoloi tse 60. Hona le batho ba 11,000 le ma plasing a te. Tueleng ena li ditrata 102. Mahwateng, matishera mole a 50. Outside Corneli. Reset fela ka 13 kilometers. Bere pavile every street in Corneli. 13 kilometers. Ke tseba batho ba disable ba ba kae. Ke tseba bomme ba ba kae in that area. From there, I go to Twelling, I go to Twespruit, I go to Excelsior. I go to my own ward. I know number 1 is Hamammo, Hasialanyani number 1, Hamatsia number 2. Kiziba Moteiti Adulante, Momeyarawa district Adulante, Mosala Street. Kiziba Motabo Manyonia Twang. No more roge mamon. Ke tseba strateng sa rona o na le matlo a 14, 7 this side, 7 this side. That's what we must do, comrades. That's what we must do. We must know our people where we stay, and so that we'll be able to preach. And the unity of the movement is sacrosanct. We are not sorry membership for the conference. Sky Pata. How we part our disadvantage as a province. Hoba re tla ya mone re kgwetla. Wena o nana o dila ka motho wa branch kapa wa region kapa wa o tla re kgwetlisa. Everybody at least a membership ya ANC. Ska ba hanela motho ke ena mo. Everybody. Uska no wena tla ngolla head office tla o thusa. Re tshwere province akere we are a PEC. Restructure se leading with humility. Tlisa ditokoma tsa ANC so that we prepare hantle for policy conference. Se re tlamele mo se etsa ha ke kwala go re prepare thoroughly policy conference. The ANC Youth League in this province must be solid and united. The ANC Women's League must be solid and united. You must differ where you have to differ, but you must never be disunited. You must always unite. You must always discuss and persuade one another. Skana rabali mang he na ya resign obane ing discuss. Skaba dila ka khoya how comrades. Don't do that. You are going to kill this movement. Elung raya tlameha ho shwa hona jwale matsong a lona kaofela. Generation ya bo Naledi ya bo Nkosazana ba sevile nako ya bona ba sebeditse hantle. By the time they leave this organization, ba tlo itlwella lona mo. And a go itlwellwang ho lona because le lwana le batla ditulo una na ba chairman ke status o change movement ya o tsamaya. Ha o tshware batho hantle, ha o sa tseba o dumedisa batho, ha o sa tseba o qoqa le batho. A tshona. Magi. O sonana o phethe. Ha. Eka modimo a ka le etsa ntle pasekeng ena. A ntsha pelo ena mpi ena. A kenya bolona ka mo. Ke tlo bitsa ntate Matshwa he. O bane re tla be se re etsa happy birthday mare Tebo o tla re binela tse pedi fe. A ka bua le lona. Tebo go bua le batho bana. Ba ke re batlang ke eng. Dr. Matano Sola Galeza President, happy birthday.
Right, the live visuals of the ANC cadres meeting coming to you live from Sasolburg in the Free State near Bloemfontein. And you have been listening there to Ace Makashule, who is the Free State Premier, who has been talking to the ANC cadres. And he was talking about the ANC branches and how they operate, saying to the attendees never to say no when the branches have spoken. And he also said that ANC members must be trustworthy and reliable. He tore into opposition party leaders like COPE leader Musiwa Lekota and Musi Maimane. He then commended ANC Chief Whip, saying Jackson Tembu impressed him after the National Working Committee meeting, saying that he made pronouncements on why ANC members should not vote with the opposition. And earlier, AU chairperson Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma addressed the same gathering and raised concerns about discipline in the ANC. She questioned the call for ANC members or ANC parliamentarians to vote with the opposition during the motion of no confidence against President Jacob Zuma. And she dared them to vote publicly if they wanted to exercise their choice, but not forgetting that they are in parliament on the mandate of the ANC. She quoted ANC stalwart who said, "A soldier without politics is a mercenary." She then asked the question, what is a cadre without politics? Dlamini-Zuma called for factionalism to be done away with and for unity to prevail in the ANC. This is News Today, a day before Good Friday. I'm your host, Colin Libawane, coming to you live from Auckland Park in the studio here in Studio 9 in Auckland Park, and so many news developments, and we'll keep you up to date with what has been happening throughout the day with other news of the day. We have sports news and weather update as well as business later on. Now, keeping you up to date with the news developments again in the country, Police Minister Fikile Mbalula has announced a new head of the Hawks. Lieutenant General Yelisa Matakata takes over from Benin Tlemeza, and she is the former head of the Hawks in the Western Cape.